Well, it's about 1 minute after, and we have a number of folks already here. So we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome to our student panel discussion on how to get involved with the museum. I'm Isadora Talia, Campus Engagement Coordinator at the Hood Museum of Art, and I'm excited to moderate tonight's panel. The first part of this panel will include a series of prepared questions about the museum and different student programs. Afterward, we'll have a live Q&A. Please feel free to enter your questions into the Q&A box on your screen at any time, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can towards the end. Please note we are recording this program, and it will be made available on YouTube in the near future. I'll start by introducing our speakers in the order they will be speaking. Tonight we have with us Amelia Kale, the Andrew W. Mellon Associate Curator of Academic Programming at the Hood Museum. Hallie Dantas, 21, an art history major and public policy minor, who is a Museum Club member and this year's campus engagement intern. Analicia Gonzalez, 21, a Native American Studies and Spanish major, who participated in the Hood's Museum Collecting 101 program. Analicia is a Native American art intern this year. And last but not least, we have Devin Mifflin, 21, our history major and religion minor, and the former Levinson intern for campus engagement, as well as a current Museum Club member. So to start, we'll have Amelia join us to tell us a little bit about the Hood Museum and its collection.
Sure, thank you, Isadora, for the lovely introduction, and welcome everyone. So the Hood Museum of Art is the on-campus art museum for the college. And the collections for the Hood Museum started just after the founding of the college. So we have objects that came into the collection around 1770. And the building itself was first built in 1985. And then we went through a big expansion and renovation, and we reopened in 2019. So it's a really pretty new museum, or the building is relatively new, or at least part of the building is relatively new. We have quite a large collection. We have about 65,000 objects. And the collection really spans from archaeological material to contemporary art that was made last year. So it spans time periods and also spans the world globally. And so we have a lot of different strengths in the museum. We have a strength in Native American art. We have a strength in global contemporary art, for example. So there's a wide range of things that you can find at the museum. The museum, we really think of ourselves as a teaching museum. And so we are really here to serve Dartmouth faculty, Dartmouth students, and our different communities as well. So we are not open this fall, but when the gallery is open, we hope that you come and join us. We are always free and open to everyone.
Thanks, Amelia. So could you tell us a little bit about the different Hood Museum spaces as well? Here I have some photos so
Sure.
folks can see.
Great, so we have there are three main spaces here. On the top left is the Russo Atrium. And so this is an area that is, when it is open, is kind of both an entryway into the museum and also a path through between our entrance on the green. And then on the back, it connects to the HOP, to the Hopkins Center for the Arts, and also to the Maffei Arts Plaza. So it is a great place to come in if you want to come to the museum. It's also a place you can see people sitting and studying. Some people meet there. There are different, often student performances that are held in the Russo Atrium. The atrium is often open a lot later hours than the museum proper. But through the windows, you can see a little bit on the left there, interspersed with the columns, you can get a glimpse of some of the exhibitions that are inside. On the second space, the galleries are on the right. This is our Northeast Gallery up on the second floor. So we have 2 floors of galleries. And they showcase a wide range of art, and that art tends to change every few months depending on the gallery. So when we're open, we hope you can come on in. But we're happy that you can join us for virtual programs while we're not literally in the galleries. And then the third space on the bottom left is the Bernstein Center for Object Study. And this is a space that's really dedicated to bringing Dartmouth students and faculty to use the museum's collections. And that can happen in a few different ways. So it can happen very formally in classes. So you'll come with a class session to the study center, and you'll get to see things that are drawn from the museum's holdings. You can also make an appointment to see things. So if there's a work that you're interested in that we have in our collection that would fit with your academic work or your personal interests, then then you can make an appointment to come see it. We'll bring it up to the study center. And then we have other events there as well. So you can see here a group of interns from a couple of years ago exploring and talking about the museum's collection. So it's a appointment only space, but it gives you access to this whole other world that you might not be able to see when you come through the galleries.
Great, thank you. And I think the question on everyone's mind, which we'll definitely get into more detail, but can students get involved with the museum even without an art history background?
Oh, yes, definitely. You definitely don't need an art history background or an art background at all to come get involved with the museum. And in fact, that is really kind of the main thrust of our program tonight. So we certainly invite you to follow us on social media and to check our website and to join us for different kinds of events that are happening. And then there are certain sort of specific programs that are open to students. And that's what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Isadora.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to hand it over to Hallie to talk about the Museum Club. So Hallie, could you tell us, what is Museum Club?
Yeah, so Museum Club is a group of students who meet each Thursday from about 5 to 6 p.m., either at the Hood or now virtually via Zoom. And with the help of Isadora, the club seeks to engage with the Hood's collection and sort of act as liaisons between the museum and the greater undergraduate community. During Museum Club, we help organize events such as the Hood After 5, which was an in-person event open to all undergraduates as a way to bring people into the museum. And there's usually food and drinks and small crafts, and we're very excited for whenever we get to resume hosting that event. We also work on an Alumni in the Arts panel, which is a speaker series featuring Dartmouth alumni who now work in the arts. We create campaigns like the Recreate a Work initiative this past spring, which you may have seen on social media, where people from the community creatively recreated works from the Hood's collection with found objects or other materials in their homes. We have guest speakers from the museum staff and do fun sort of art-focused activities such as creating coloring book pages, and go to the Bernstein Center for Object Study to engage with objects in the collection that are not on view currently. It's been really amazing to see how flawlessly Isadora and Devin, who was last year's campus engagement intern, helped virtualize Museum Club. And Museum Club is just sort of a fun space to spend an hour or so each week while helping spread awareness about what's going on at the Hood and interacting with all the wonderful people who work there.
Thanks so much. That's a great summary of the Museum Club. And as Hallie mentioned, it will continue virtually this fall and moving forward. So how do you join the Museum Club? Do you have to have any prerequisites or be in a certain class year or anything like that?
So no, as I am an art history major, and I've always sort of had a passion for visual culture, but although I do have a background with art history, I'm by no means an artist myself, and there's really no prior experience necessary to join Museum Club. Last year, after the Hood reopened in 2019, I was really excited to get more involved in the arts on campus, and a friend of mine said I should come check out the Museum Club, so I applied and just went to the first meeting, and it was a great space to come and hang out. This year, the applications are due September 22nd, which is tomorrow, and we'll be sending that information out if you haven't seen it already. This is not meant to be a stressful application at all. We really just want to get a sense of who you are and why you're interested in joining. And we're really committed to working with everyone's D plan. So if you're on and off campus, don't worry, you can just apply once and just rejoin when you're back on campus.
So Hallie, what has been your favorite memory of being in the club, or some of your favorite memories?
So it's kind of hard to pick just one, but maybe I'll tell you two cool things that I really like about being in Museum Club. One of my favorite parts of Museum Club is the guest speakers we get from the Hood, whether that be curators speaking about putting together an exhibition or acquisition, or someone talking about strategic planning. There's always a new role to learn about at the Hood. Last fall, which was actually my first term being involved with the club, so it's never too late to join, Neely McNulty, who is the curator of education, came to do a workshop with us. The workshop was split into two parts. The first half an hour, we went into the galleries and looked at pieces of art and discussed how they layered different materials to create a visually stimulating work. And then the second half of the hour, we went to a project room and created our own prints by layering different elements like magazine cutouts, pencil, and watercolor. And this was just a really fun activity. And these discussions of art and the creation of art continue over Zoom, both last term and this coming term. I also really like being in the museum club to meet new people. As a senior in this virtual time, it's kind of hard not being on campus, but museum club provides such a nice way to engage with people from all class years and majors. I'm constantly in awe of all the creativity of all the members. One member, Hadley, who's a 22, came up with the idea of these look and listen playlists where members pair songs with different pieces of art in the Hood's collection. And sometimes we work on these playlists during club meetings. We recently, over last term, did a shared playlist surrounding the theme of resiliency and posted it on the Hood's website. So be sure to check out the website for those. They're really cool and a great way to find new music if you're looking for some. And just in general, the Look and Listen playlist project is one of the many ways the Museum Club kind of helps to creatively promote the Hood.
Awesome, thank you. And then last question, how would you say the Museum Club, or maybe just the museum generally, has impacted your Dartmouth experience?
Yeah, for sure. So since joining the Museum Club, I feel much more connected to both the art history community as well as the community at the Hood. The entire staff really cares about getting students involved in the Hood, and there's so many ways to get involved, as you can see here tonight, whether that be joining Museum Club, participating in Museum Collecting 101, doing a senior internship, or just stopping by the Bernstein Center for Object Study and asking to see a piece you're interested in. The museum is such a tremendous asset to the Dartmouth community, and being involved in it is such a great way to expose both myself and my friends to sort of what the museum is working on. And a lot of my friends have actually become interested in coming into the museum and walking around campus, seeing all the sculptures that the Hood oversees, and you should all make sure to check those out. I think they're really cool. And lastly, the Hood has sort of become a physical space on campus that is sort of like another home base for me. I really like studying in the Russo atrium, which, as Amelia said, connects the Hood and the Hop. And this year I am doing the senior internship. Amelia came to one of the Museum Club meetings last spring, and I had heard of the program, but was really excited to learn more about it. So I applied, and now I'm working with Isadora to help with her campus engagement initiative. So I'm very excited for that this coming year.
Awesome, thank you so much. So we'll move it over to Annalicia in just a minute. But don't forget to answer input your questions in the Q&A function if you have any, just so we can get to them at the end. So Annalicia, thanks for sharing with us a little bit about Museum Collecting 101. What is this program?
So Museum Collecting 101 is it's a group of students. I think it's limited to 12, if I remember correctly. And you meet twice a week with different employees from the Hood. When I participated in the program, the focus was on Native American art. So Jamie Powell, the curator of Native American art, led discussions along with Amelia and other Hood Museum employees. We met in the Bernstein Center for Object Study, where they would pull pieces for us to look at. And we also learned about sort of the behind the scenes of what goes on the museum when acquiring new pieces for the collections, with the end result of us all taking a trip to New York City together to visit galleries and see pieces that we could vote on at the end of the program to acquire for the museum. So I think it's a really great introduction to the museum and kind of what goes on behind the scenes. It was my first experience at the museum, and I think it was a good intro, and it kind of inspired me to apply for the senior internship this year. Yeah.
Great. So you mentioned there are weekly meetings. What is the time commitment, and how does one apply for this program?
So if I remember correctly, it was 2 hours a week. And the discussions go by really quickly because it's really interesting. And you also meet a lot of students from all different class years and different majors, and even tech students were involved too my year. So yeah, 2 hours a week during spring term. Anyone is welcome to apply. So that's why there's a great variety of different kinds of students, different majors, different class years. So it's a good opportunity to meet new people. and learn about the art and learn about the museum.
Thanks. And so everyone here knows it is a first come, first serve application process. Applications will open in late winter. So you don't need any prior knowledge of museum work or anything like that. But Annalisa, could you talk a little bit about what the role of the students was in actually selecting the artwork? What did that look like?
Yeah, so we went to galleries with the Hood Museum's director, John, who is in that picture. And so we would gather around table and look at different photographs and different art pieces. And by the end, there was a clear like favorite artist and favorite piece of art. We ended up acquiring a piece from artist Mariah Hupfield. And then also with the leftover budget, we also purchased other photographs, but I don't remember the exact titles or anything. Yeah.
Thank you. And what was your favorite aspect of the experience?
Well, I liked that I met new people, and during the trip to New York, we also had free time to walk around and get to know each other, and then also just picking a new piece for the museum was really exciting.
Thank you so much. And Amelia, do you mind just jumping in and maybe talking about the virtual version of this program?
Oh, sure. So it's taken on a few different forms sometimes depending on the theme. We meet in person, so we've done that with things like African art. When we did Native American art and photography on Alicia's year, we almost always do photography or digital media. We were able to go to New York, so that was fun. We do that some years. And this last spring, despite the pandemic, we just held meetings over Zoom. And the theme this year, we worked with our curator of global contemporary art. So she had actually chosen a selection of artists back in January and February that were global. So we weren't planning on she was trying to decenter New York. So we weren't planning on traveling that year anyway. So we simply met over Zoom and we watched actually a bunch of sort of digital art pieces as well as photography. And then the students made a selection. So the other nice thing is after the students have chosen the work and the museum purchases it, we put everybody's name on the credit line. So every time that work is displayed in the gallery, it has that line with all of the students' names. So it's a way to kind of leave in a real permanent mark at Dartmouth and at the museum.
Thank you. And yes, I'll just jump in to say anytime there's a very long object label, it might be because it was purchased by the Museum Collecting 101 program and everyone's names are listed. Thank you both. So now Devin, can you tell us about the senior internship?
Yes, hi everybody. So the senior internship is a really great way to get involved with the arts on campus and explore what a career in the arts could entail. The interns are a group of students, usually it's around 10, I know this year it's 13, who are interested in the arts and maybe are art history majors, but certainly not everyone is one. I know last year there was a neuroscience major, anthropology, studio art. So really just as long as you're interested in the arts, you can apply. And your overall general responsibilities are to research and promote the art in the collection and support the museum's mission to serve campus audiences, create student and community programs, and also learn from museum and art world professionals through kind of group meetings or more formal events. And then sort of, you can consider it in two components. So one is preparations for your Space for Dialogue exhibition. Everyone curates their own unique exhibition. And then the other half is doing department-specific projects for your supervisor. So also, the final thing I'll mention is that you also get all these opportunities to work together as an internship class. So every week you meet for about an hour as a group of interns, and you meet with different people from the museum or talk about writing skills or how to plan your exhibitions. And it's a really good way to meet people you maybe wouldn't have met otherwise and kind of work together on different projects and meet alumni or people in the art world.
Thank you. So are there different types of internships?
Yes. So there are sort of 4 internship departments or kind of categories. So one is curatorial. So if you're a curatorial intern, you work with one of the curators on their exhibitions. You might be doing research, helping with wall labels, helping them plan an exhibition. You could even be, helping them figure out the layout of an exhibition. And then there's a Native American art intern. And so you work with the Associate Curator of Native American Art, Jamie Powell, and you support her. And she has so many projects going on all the time. But maybe with research, writing, helping with exhibition prep. And that internship is unique in that you could be from any class year, not just a senior. And then there are programming interns. And so those interns support the education staff. So they create projects to engage campus and community audiences kind of through more education specific opportunities. So Hallie mentioned in her description of Museum Club that she had been to one of Neely McNulty's events that incorporated sort of group discussion and art making around a Glenn Ligon work of art. So that's an example of a programming event. And then the last one is campus engagement, which is what I did with Isadora and what Hallie's doing. And so the campus engagement intern kind of promotes events for campus audiences, creates virtual resources, works with the housing communities, kind of makes sure that the museum is well integrated with campus.
Thank you. That's a great description of the different types of internships. So what is the time commitment for an internship and what's the application process like?
Yeah, so the internship is a 3-term or full year time commitment, and it's about 10 hours, well, it is 10 hours per week, but also Amelia, who runs the program, is super flexible. So maybe one week you have to do 11 hours and one week you have to do 9, that's okay. And the application process consists of writing a cover letter and submitting a resume. And in your cover letter, just like for any job, you sort of express which internship kind of category you're most interested in and why. And then there are a series of interviews, but it's okay if you're not on campus, they'll do the interviews over Zoom. And also I would like to mention that the 10-hour week time commitment is really cool because you get to actually create your own schedule. I know Isadora was super flexible with my schedule. It changed each term with my class schedule. So sometimes I would come in the morning, sometimes the afternoons, and the only time that you really kind of have to be there is for your intern group meeting, which the museum does a really good job of finding a time that's convenient for everybody for that.
Great. And I want to make sure we have some time to talk about what is a Space for Dialogue exhibition? Can you tell us what's involved in that?
Yeah, so it's so cool. I think honestly, this is a really good demonstration of the Hood's commitment to campus and to student audiences. The museum basically allows each of the interns to create their own exhibition in the museum. You get to curate it from 0 to 100. You get to do everything along the way. So some of the steps in the process are exploring the collection and trying to pinpoint an idea. Amelia is super, super helpful at this stage because she knows the collection inside and out. And I remember when I was going to her and I thought I had an idea, she would just be like, oh, I know there's some work that could totally match this. And then she would just find it. And I got to go see some works in storage too, which was super cool. So then once you've kind of found some works, you think you have an idea, you sort of keep thoroughly researching, you kind of reduce your list of works to something that's going to fit in the space. And then you start working with the exhibition team on framing and matting and choosing a layout. You work with the registrars and you go through archival information, make sure all the logistics are working to that you can hang the pieces in the right time. You might request copyright permissions, and then you, of course, write wall labels and a brochure text for your exhibition. You also work with the digital content team to create kind of like social media posts and design the brochure from the outside. You know, you pick which works of art go on the front, maybe like the color scheme. And then at the end, you help install the show. You don't actually touch the works of art, but you make sure everything looks how you want it to. And then you deliver a public gallery talk. So you just sort of explain why you chose this exhibition theme and what all of the works contribute to the show. And then kind of in general, the Space for Dialogue exhibitions as the name suggests, are supposed to be kind of a space for critical dialogue and highlighting works that maybe people don't even know are in the collection, and really just taking advantage of that opportunity. Mine was called Vision 2020, What Do You See? It was up last January through until March, and it was about the impact of visual media and technology on body image in the 20th and 21st centuries. And the artists in the exhibition used their works to encourage conversation about beauty ideals, gender, self-perception, agency in mass media. Yeah, kind of a long overview.
No, thank you. It's, you know, a lot of work, a very involved process that will be done virtually this year as well. And I think goes to show, you know, why the internship is 10 hours a week. It's, you know, quite an exciting experience. And so last question for Devin for now, what was your favorite part of being an intern?
It's honestly so hard to say. I think that being a part of this program has been one of the most impactful parts of my Dartmouth experience, and honestly, like my education experience throughout my life. This has been such a great way to get to know people who are so passionate about the arts and go at that from all different angles through so many different career paths. So getting to know all the museum employees has been amazing. And then, of course, you know, curating your own exhibition in a museum is a dream. And I never thought that that would be something I'd be able to do, especially at such a young age. And like I said, the Hood is so committed to students and really wants our voices to be a part of the museum, and as a testament to their mission to support students. So I would have to say that was really cool, and bringing my friends into the gallery to kind of see the exhibition with me and walking it through with them, I'll never forget that. So
thank you so much. So this wraps up the prepared questions, but we do have some that have come through the Q&A. Please continue to submit other questions if you have them. So one for Amelia. So prior to the COVID crisis, when the museum was open, students could request to see works of art in the Center for Object Study. Is that still the case this term when the museum is still closed for now?
So not quite yet, but we hope so. So currently the campus is on limited access. So right now we can only have Dartmouth staff, and even not all the staff in the offices occasionally. We have hard limits on who can come in, and we can't have students in yet, but we're hoping soon, we don't know exactly when, the college hasn't given a date, that shortly this term we will move to less limited. And once that happens, then you will be able to come in individually. And so you could email me to make an appointment and come see work in the collection. Do give us a little bit of time though, because it's, not everyone's on campus and there's sort of limits on who can come in the building. But once we move to less limited, that will be the case. So not quite yet, but our fingers are crossed that soon that level will change.
Great, thank you. And then I'll send one to Hallie. Is there anything I can do if I have a class conflict during the museum club meeting time?
Yeah, so maybe I'll refer back to Isadora for this, but I think generally we're like pretty flexible with, if this term doesn't work for you, next term maybe you can join for the hour that we meet. But I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, this happens. Someone will apply in the fall term. Their schedule's open on Thursdays. They come to meetings. Awesome. Next term, they have a class block at that time. We understand. Just come back in the spring or whenever your schedule allows. So it's totally fine. I would say for now, if you have a conflict this term, apply anyway. That way you get on our listserv and you can just join as soon as you can next year, next calendar year. So yes. And then someone asked, how many people participate in the museum club? Is it limited? So usually we have about 15 students, 15 to 20, depends on the term. It's not capped. And actually one of the really nice things about the virtual Zoom sphere is that we don't have to worry about fitting people in a physical room. So we can have a lot of people participate. Unlike the internship program, museum collecting, which do have a specific number, museum club is more flexible. All right, so maybe I'll send one to Amelia quickly. Are there opportunities for student employment outside of the internship program?
Yes, there are, and they vary depending on who on staff needs different folks to do different things, and they're posted through the college where student jobs are posted. It used to be JobNet, but now I'm not sure if that's what it's called. So wherever you're looking, that's a place to look for different positions, for work study positions, for example.
Great, and I'll just add to that, you know, sometimes it's with someone who works in exhibitions, sometimes it's social media, sometimes it's with the registrar. So they definitely vary in terms of what you might be doing. Maybe I'll send this one to Devin. What is the workload like for Museum Club outside of the scheduled hour? Is it doable?
It's definitely doable. Usually you help with some of our in-person events when those are going on. So you might help promote an event also in college. Maybe you're helping handing out flyers or explaining something that we're doing. Or you're helping create some sort of virtual resource for us. But I would say definitely like under an hour extra per week, not even that. So definitely doable.
Awesome. And then someone asked, is there a place we can see a list of student opportunities compiled? And I'll answer that one. Yes. Go to our website, click on the Learn tab and then College Students, and you'll see a list of different opportunities, different programs you can apply to or participate in, and even things you can do at home on your own time. So definitely check it out. And quick plug for our social media channels as well. Follow us to see what we're up to. And then I'll send this one to Hallie. What if I plan to take an off term? How does that affect involvement?
With Museum Club, taking off term is totally fine. Last year I was on in the fall, off in the winter, and on in the spring. And so during my off term, I focused on my job and rejoined Museum Club when I was back. So definitely don't let that be a factor in applying. Everyone should definitely apply if they want to. And yeah, we're starting a new committee structure this year, and it's going to be really flexible, so please apply.
Yes, and as we mentioned, applications for Museum Club are due tomorrow, the 22nd, end of the day, 150 words max. You can read more about that on our website, but it's not meant to be strenuous. We just want to know about your interests and learn a little bit more about you. All right, are there any, can anyone see other questions in the chat? All right. Okay, well, I think that was all the questions we had for today. Would any of the panelists like to add anything else?
I can jump in and just say that we're really excited to welcome you to Dartmouth if you're a first year, or welcome you to the Hood Museum, regardless of what year you are. And if you're interested in getting involved, if none of the things that we talked about tonight quite fit, or you have some other particular interest, or you have some project, or you're curious about something, or you're simply interested in museums as a career path, and you want to get a cup of coffee, either socially distanced or over Zoom, and talk about museum careers, that we are really here to support you and to help you. So please feel comfortable reaching out to us and getting in touch, and we'd love to have you get involved in any way that makes sense for you.